Talking with famous people.
Hi, host Eric here, host Talking with Famous People, and today I'm going to talk about the Forer effect and the Enneagram and my Enneagram tri-type. My Enneagram tri-type, I've discovered, is 738. And I hadn't really understood what the tri-type was prior to today. I thought it was the type number plus self-preserving social. Like for me, it would be 7 self-preserving social. But it's actually 738 self-preserving social. And I like that a lot better than the wings, just like Megabro said. That's why I decided to look it up. I look for one member on each of those. Oh, I think maybe Megabro's here actually. Is that a go-to-mean sound?
Hi, I can hear your voice.
It is Megabro. I can hear your voice as well. I'm actually right now in the middle of making this video on the Forer effect. So I'll just keep the video rolling here, and I've got my face, and I'll position it halfway between me and the speaker so we get both of our voices. Hi, Megabro.
Hi, Eric.
How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah, I've been subscribed for a little while, and you cover a lot of topics, so it kept me interested.
Well, you certainly have kept me interested with your comments, I'll tell you that. You've got some crazy comments, some of which are quite long, some of which are short, but all of which are, to my eyes, remarkably insightful. So, like, have you been studying this stuff for a while, or what?
About a year. Actually, I totally didn't look into personality types till, I guess, probably 2 years.
What made you look into it in the first place?
Oh, some experiences made me realize I didn't understand how people work.
Right.
So, I mean, I'd always been like into computers and stuff, and
do you do programming?
I never really.
Do you do programming or coding of some kind?
Oh yeah.
Right on.
So, my prior experience was programming computers, and so after coming to the personality stuff, I kind of look at it kind of mechanistically, you know.
Right. I favor that framework as well when it applies as best I can make it apply. I try to get it to be mechanistic like that too, because I prefer it as predictive as possible, given that it's not really possible for it to be fully predictive.
Right. So trying to go for predictive gets you closer to a happy medium.
Right. Which segues nicely into this thing about the Forer effect I've been reading here. And what it says here is the Forer effect refers to the tendency of people to rate sets of statements highly accurate for them personally, even though the statements could apply to many people. And this psychologist, Bertram Forer, gave this evaluation and then asked the students if it was accurate or not. But the evaluation says this: you have a need for other people to like and admire you, and yet you tend to be critical of yourself. While you have some personality weaknesses, you are generally able to compensate for them. You have considerable unused capacity that you have not turned to your advantage. Disciplined and self-controlled on the outside, you tend to be worrisome and insecure on the inside. At times you have serious doubts as to whether you... So anyway, it's a bunch of like stuff that applies to everybody basically. And then on this Skeptics Dictionary site, it includes in the list of things to which this applies Enneagram. So I was sort of responding to that. Do you have any thoughts about that initially?
Oh, the Enneagram. Well, that was my first opinion. My first opinion about the Enneagram is that it was basically the same thing as the horoscopes, in that you have this. If you heard a description apply to you, you'd think it applied, even if it didn't really apply.
Right.
Is that what?
That's what.
That was my first. that was my first opinion about the Enneagram. But after looking into it a little more, actually just a speck more, I think it may be onto a couple things that are quite a bit better than I thought it was originally.
Well, what I'm struck with on this little about the test that the Forer effect references, the actual psychological test that generated the name of it, is that he's not presenting real dichotomies. So the question then becomes, well, does the evaluation itself being presented actually include real dichotomies or not? And I think it's fair to say that Enneagram includes dichotomies that are mutually exclusive of each other, or you have to choose one or the other, right? Like that thing that was used as an example, that's just a bunch of like, on the one hand this and on the other hand that, and it's not really saying anything, you know?
One choice is no choice at all.
Right. Or what this guy did, which is like, on the one hand you're kind of like this, and on the other hand you're kind of like that.
You'd have to have at least a not in there somewhere.
Right.
This, not that.
Right. So I think that Enneagram at least does that, which makes it potentially useful for descriptive purposes. But then I guess somebody might ask, well then, how is it different from astrology, which is also useful for descriptive purposes by that same logic? What would you say in response to that?
Astrology? Look.
Like, if someone were to challenge Enneagram and saying, okay, well, let's concede that perhaps it is useful as a descriptive mechanism insofar as it narrows the total field of human experience down to a set of adjectives. But then doesn't astrology do that as well?
I think the primary difference would be that astrology is based on your day of birth, and Enneagram is based on at least a questionnaire.
Right. Okay. So you have some data input rather than just a random number.
Yeah. Right. So the description you get back is at least a description of the data you put in rather than a description of your day of year, or you know what I mean?
Right. Okay. So, I just did this tri-type thing based on your suggestion that it was preferable to the wings. I hadn't really looked into it. I didn't realize what it was until I just researched it right now and did it. And it turns out I'm 738, I think. I'm pretty sure. I'm 738, self-preserving, social. Now, what does that, do you know enough about Enneagram to draw any conclusions about a person knowing that information?
Well, I don't know very much about the Enneagram, but was it 738?
Yeah, 738.
All right. I think that. Oh, my computer's.
It says it's
losing.
Triple assertive. I don't feel triple assertive, but I guess maybe that's what I am. I don't know. But the thing is, it was pretty clear to me which of the one number from each of those sections was way more like me, and which of the two numbers were much less like me. It wasn't close, any of them,
That's part of the tri-type.
And that's one thing that to me confirms that maybe there's something, beyond just confirmation bias or something, right?
Well, there is something interesting that I do like about tri-types and the Enneagram, in that tri-types in particular divides the Enneagram into head, heart, and gut types.
Right.
And so you've got the tri-type has, the head has 3, the heart has 3, the gut has 3.
Head has 6, 7. Head has 5, 6, 7. And then.
Oh, I'm sorry. I mean 3 types, not Enneagram 3.
I know. I'm just saying for clarification for the audience purposes that the head is 5, 6, 7. The heart is 8, 9, 1.
That would be gut.
Oh, that would be gut. Okay, and then the heart is 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Okay, proceed.
Oh, what I like about the Enneagram and tri-type is that this head, heart, gut distinction is roughly approximate to the tri-brain theory. Well, it's not.
Can you explain the
It's pretty good
tri-brain?
theory.
What's the tri-brain idea?
The tri-brain perspective of looking at the brain is that the brain has evolved in stages, from reptiles to mammals to human beings, and that each stage more stuff was added on top of the previous systems of the brain.
Okay, and so you're saying that you have one level of you that's still primitive, which is what, like gut level, and then another level that's a little less primitive, which is heart level, and then the least primitive, which is head level.
Yes, yeah. The head level would be like the neocortex, the outer layer of the brain. The heart level would be like the limbic system, or the mammalian stuff, where animals learn how to be social and nice. And the gut level is the reptilian, where the animals, the reptilian complex in the brain down at the bottom, where animals learn how to stay alive and reproduce.
And so you think that has a corollary in cognition that manifests as gut level personality, which is very much what, like dominant submission stuff, or what? Because 8's in there, I know that. What do you think?
Yeah, 8 in particular would be very, very based on a reptilian instinct of desire to win. Like, okay, like if two male reptiles are fighting over a female.
Because they're not herd.
That would be the. What? Could you repeat that?
Because they're not herd animals. They're not. They don't hang out in groups. Reptiles.
Right.
They just hang out by themselves.
But yes, I skipped over that. The reptiles are like, the reptilian system is not social, but it is interested in at least the reproduction side.
Right. They want to hide their eggs someplace safe.
Well, yeah, but what I mean is sex.
Right. They want to have sex. Well, so do all the other animals too, except for like spores and stuff.
But that's on the other, like mammals. At least mammals have a reptilian complex underneath their limbic system, so they inherit that from reptiles.
Oh, okay. I see. And so, if you hear, then, hi Delilah. I'm talking to Megabro, over to Megabro. You don't know because you don't listen to me when I talk to you about my YouTube channel. You just ignore me.
You probably haven't. I doubt you. I don't know.
I've talked to you about this before. This girl, she doesn't care at all about my YouTube channel. Not one bit. There's a great tragedy in my life. Anyway, so that's interesting that you've got this other theory about the brain developing in basically like layers, kind of, you know, and
right.
it would seem to correlate with that. So knowing, first of all, let me observe something. You do not like being interrupted at all, huh?
Me?
Yeah, you want to be permitted to finish your full thought and everything before the other person comments. I'm trying to exercise as much hosteraciness as possible, which means I'm trying to be less interrupty than I normally am, you know. But I've noted because I do this, I notice a little bit more now than I used to. For example, I'm guessing you do not like to be interrupted.
I wouldn't say a whole lot about liking or disliking. I just don't expect it.
You don't expect it. That's interesting. Does that
No,
mean
I
that
don't
you,
expect it.
right? I know. I'm saying you don't expect it. Does that mean that you are unaccustomed in life to being interrupted?
Well, I don't talk to a whole lot of people. So,
Okay.
and the people I do talk to are mostly introverts. So there's not a whole lot of interrupting.
I can't. I don't. I would love to sit down and just watch two introverts have a conversation. I know a lot of introverts. I hang out with them all the time, but of course, obviously, when I'm talking to them, it's one extrovert and one introvert, which is a good match usually. You know, introverts are a little more willing to listen, and a bit more of a mature extrovert is interested in listening too, enough that it works. You know, so. How is it when two introverts sit down and have a chat?
Slow and steady.
Slow and steady. Right. All right, cool.
Talking with